Hey, Divine Ones, it is good to see you again on this Sunday. I want to have a very special live today where I'm going to be responding to a question that I got by one of my followers that really touched me and as made me think about when I first started my own journey, how I would have loved to have someone do a video like this so that I could have seen it and it could have helped me out because I was in the exact same spot. But another thing before we get into this is I just wanted to say, hey, I haven't seen you all in a while. I haven't done a live in a while. I've been focusing on a few things. One is there was something in my body that I needed to heal, so I needed to kind of pull back to focus on my own healing. Two, there's a lot that I'm working on to kind of get out before the end of the year for you all. I'm really excited about. As you know, I've been talking about for a while, and yes, I've been talking about it, but I actually have been working on it. Progress is happening. It's just a little slow, but I've been working on a new website, so I have a whole new website coming out. With it's going to be really juicy. It's got some really great services and products coming out for you all, as well as I've been working on a podcast, and I just got through recording the first episode, so I'm editing it. And when I get that done, I'll be releasing it. And I've been really excited about this because I've been wanting to do a podcast for a very, very, very long time. And so it's now time to get that out. And it's going to be talking a lot about the healing and transformative power of loving ourselves. So you haven't seen me because nothing is wrong. There's a lot of good happening, but I've just had to focus my energy in other places. So I'm just really glad to see you all and really glad that we can spend this time here on this Sunday. It's Sunday, one of the days that I do a lot of relaxation and introspection. As a matter of fact, while I'm doing this video, I got incense going, candles burning, and just really excited to be with you. So let me jump right into this topic for today. So I received a question from one of my followers that said, you know, if I was diagnosed with a life threatening condition or illness again, what would I do? And especially, what would I do if I didn't have a lot of money? So I want to first say this is exactly what happened to me. If you know my story, you know, in 2004, I was diagnosed with AIDS and kidney failure with a host of other life threatening illnesses, and then given 7 days to live. And that started a miraculous healing journey for me. And at the time, I didn't have enough money. I had literally just enough to cover my bills. I didn't have any to spend on any type of healing modalities or alternative therapies or anything. I literally didn't have any extra money, and so I know this journey very well. And this journey made me really. This question made me think about all the things that I learned in my own healing journey, and so I had to write them down. So I'm going to share them with you, and I'm going to share with you 9 steps. So these are the 9 steps that I learned. These are the 9 steps that I even recommend to my clients and people that I work with. So if you're in the same situation, you're going through a health challenge, even if you have money, these steps are going to help you out. So the first thing that I would do in this step of healing myself is to one second. I guess I left my phone on, and I do not want to be disturbed during this video. So the first thing that I would do is to remind myself that what healing actually is, and that healing is absolutely possible for me. This is really important. This is why it's the step. One, you need to really remember that healing is possible for you. If you're alive, if you're still breathing, you can heal. As a soul being, anything is possible for you, especially healing, because one of the greatest desires that the universe has for you is for you to be well. It's for you to experience well-being, because this is a universe of well-being. So it is possible for you. No matter what the diagnosis is, no matter what stage in the diagnosis that you are in, it is possible to heal. So that's the first thing. And when you begin to do that, why that's important for you is because when you feel hopeless in your and you feel hopeless around healing, you're literally robbing yourself of the energy that's going to help you heal. And so you're keeping yourself from healing. You need to hold to some type of hope around healing, because that energy is the healing energy in and of itself. The other aspect of that is to remind yourself what healing actually is. So the process of healing, what it actually is it's the coming back home to our wholeness and our home frequency. It's returning ourselves back to wholeness and our home frequency because we've been disconnected from it. That's actually why illness shows up in the body, and I'll be sharing a little bit more about this in another step. But illness literally shows up in the body because we've been disconnected from our wholeness and our home frequency for too long. I'll talk a little bit about in the next steps what wholeness and our home frequency actually are. But this is really what healing is. And so you can do that. You can reconnect yourself to your wholeness, and you can reconnect to yourself to your home frequency no matter who you are, no matter what you've got. You can do that. There are ways to do that. And there are ways to do that that don't cost a lot of money, right? Now, they may cost you something, because healing usually requires an offering of some sort, right? Usually an offering of a life that's no longer working for us. But that doesn't necessarily have to cost you a lot of money. And so, again, first step, to understand that you can heal and what healing is actually about. It's about returning yourself to wholeness and to your home frequency. And the reason why you need to return is because you've been disconnected from it from too long. You've been disconnected somehow from your wholeness, and you've been disconnected from your home frequency, which is the frequency of your soul, the frequency of your soul. You have been disconnected from the vibration and the frequency of that, which is your natural state of being, for far too long. And so now this illness is asking you to come back home to that. So that's step number one that I would do when I first got, whether I'm getting first diagnosed or whether I've had a diagnosis for a long time. I would just, my first step would be to remind myself I can heal. It is possible for me. And what healing is about coming home to my wholeness and my home frequency. Wholeness equals wellness. And when we're in our home frequency, all is well and all is coming. And so if you can do that, if you can remember in your mind, this is all I'm doing. And why this is important is because a lot of times we think healing is about, all these other things. It's about eating the right diet. It's about doing all these healing and alternative modalities. It's about, getting all these doctors together and having all these surgeries or whatever. And while those things can help, those things aren't actually what healing is. Those things aren't what the journey of healing is about. So when you understand that, you can come relax and understand this is not a journey of doing all these external things. It's a journey of coming back home to myself. That's literally what healing is. I'm coming back home to myself. So I don't need to think about it in all these other terms. I just need to think about it in how do I need to come home to myself, right? And you can keep your focus on what actually works, is coming back home to yourself. So that's step number one. Step number two is that you need to discover. So when we just got through talking about what healing actually is coming back to your wholeness and your home frequency. So step number two is discover the path you need to take to come back home to your home frequency, right? So how do you come back home to the frequency of your soul, which is love? How do you come back home to the love that you are, right? What path do you need to take? And one of the key things to do with this is you need to discover how you got disconnected from home in the first place and what the journey to come back home is. And one of the key things to do with this, and I have all of my clients do this exercise, is really just tune into how the illness or the condition makes you feel. How does it make you feel? Like really look at emotionally, physically. Like, so for me, when I was diagnosed with AIDS and kidney failure, I had to look at how each of those things made me feel. So when I looked at how they made me feel, when I look at how AIDS made me feel, it made me feel ugly. It made me feel like something was wrong with my body and unlovable about my body. And like people would not want me. They wouldn't love me anymore. And so basically I felt like I wasn't enough. I was really not enough now. right? Like that there was really, my body was really now the unwanted thing, because there was all this stigma around people with HIV and AIDS that, you know, I'm contagious, I'm poison, all that stuff. So it made me feel like there was something wrong with my body, and like I was really not enough. And I felt a lot of shame. And so when I looked at kidney failure, I felt like I wasn't free because I had to be on dialysis 3 times a week. I didn't feel like I was free. I didn't feel liberated. And I felt drained. It made me feel really drained. Like physically, I felt really, dialysis really drained me, right? And so when I looked at those things, the key is, one, how does it make you feel? And then where have you been feeling like that for a long time in your life? Because when we get a life threatening illness, illness is literally the last line of defense that our soul has. It's the last wake up call. It's not the first one. But your body doesn't send you an illness in the beginning. Your body doesn't send you it usually will send you like some type of emotional sign that you're disconnected. It doesn't just send illness right when you get disconnected from your wholeness and your home frequency in the beginning. Illness shows up when that's really, you've been disconnected for a long time. Your body's very resilient. It's a very strong and loving thing. And so it takes a long time for it to be withheld from your wholeness and your home frequency before it starts to break down. So you've been feeling this way for a long time. The body is like, when it shows up in the body, this is like the big wake up call, and it's just an exasperation. Your body is literally a mirror of your energy. It's a reflection of your energy. That's all it is. And so when you're feeling in alignment with your home energy, which is love, you'll have health, you'll have wellness, everything will be working in your life well. But when you're disconnected from it, it won't. And it's going to mirror back. The illness that shows up is going to mirror back exactly how you've been disconnected. So again, I felt those things, how I felt. So let's go back to the AIDS. Made me feel ashamed, and it made me feel like something was wrong with my body. Well, I had been feeling that way emotionally for years. I was made to feel like, growing up when I was a kid, I was teased for being thicker, and I was called chubby and fat. And that made me feel like something was wrong with my body, and my body as it wasn't desirable, and it wasn't lovable. And I felt that way ever since I was a very young child. I also felt I felt a lot of shame around my body. I never felt good around my body. I never felt like my body was enough or that I was enough, right? And I also had a lot of shame around my sexuality, being attracted to the same gender, and a lot of shame around being intuitive and psychic when I was younger, because I grew up in a very Christian and a very religious culture and home and environment. So there was a lot of shame that I had for many years, and I grew up for many years not feeling good about my body and not feeling like my body was enough. And AIDS came as a reflection to that, right? So illness is only an indicator. Illness is only an indicator. And there's two things that illnesses are, and I'll tell you what the second thing is in another one in the step. But illness number one is an indicator. It's trying to indicate to you where you've been disconnected from your wholeness and your home frequency, because your body needs your wholeness and it needs your home frequency inside of it in order for it to be healthy and to be well. So you need to figure out how you need to get back to your home frequency, right? And first you discover how you've been disconnected from it. So feeling ashamed, feeling like I wasn't enough, disconnected me from my home frequency. That doesn't feel like love. My home frequency feels like is love. It feels like I'm enough. It feels like I'm worthy. It feels free. It feels at ease. It feels joyous, right? And so feeling ashamed of myself and feeling like I wasn't enough disconnected me from the love frequency that I am, right? And so that's the first thing. So you discover that. I'm going to tell you the second part, but I want to go to the kidney part. So kidneys made me feel like I wasn't free, and it made me feel drained. And so again, your home frequency feels like liberation. It feels like joy. It's a very energizing frequency, right? So I was disconnected there as well. And I had been feeling that way for a long time. I wasn't free because had been so worried about people finding out about my sexuality and about my psychic gifts that I was suppressing myself. I was hiding them. And when anytime we hide and suppress, we put ourselves in bondage. And so my life felt like bondage. It didn't feel like freedom. I never really felt free because I was never fully being myself. I was never being myself. And anytime we're not ourselves, we don't feel free. So those two things were these elements that I was not feeling free, not like being drained, not really living a life that really nourished me, that charged me. And there was several reasons why I was drained, and I've done many videos on that, but not living a life basically that charged me and drained me, but basically living a life that depleted me, right? And so all of these things disconnected me from my home frequency. And so that tells you how you got your disconnection by really looking at how does this illness or this condition make me feel. That also gives you the roadmap to how you need to come back home to yourself. So this is where you've left yourself. This is where you've left home, right? How do you come back home to yourself is the opposite of that. So if I had been feeling ashamed and I had been feeling like I wasn't enough, especially not attractive enough, then coming back home to my home frequency was, instead of shame, was to feel love for myself. And instead of feeling like I wasn't attractive, was to start to feel attractive enough, to start to feel desirable and lovable and wanted. If being disconnected from my energy, from my home frequency, my home energy, my home vibration, was feeling not free and feeling drained, then what was going to bring me back home to my vibration was feeling free, was being liberated and feeling liberated, and also feeling charged. So that's literally the roadmap to my healing, right? So whatever you are, however that situation is making you feel, what's the opposite of that? That the opposite of that is literally the roadmap you need to take to heal yourself. Again, it's not about, it's about the energy more than it is about, what you're eating. It's about this. So how do I feel? So what you need to think now for your healing is, for just using me for my example, right? So what do I need to do to feel more enough, to feel attractive enough, to feel desired? What do I need to do that will help me do that? What do I need to do to feel more love for myself instead of shame? What can I do to feel freer in my life? What can I do to feel more charged and more nourished? And for me, there was a lot of things. Feeling more attractive meant really working on my thoughts and my self-talk. Instead of telling myself I was too fat or I wasn't enough, I began to do, really work on affirmations around feeling enough and that I'm attractive and I'm desirable just as I am. I also began to start to work out a little bit more because working out made me feel really good in my body and more well about my body. So I began to exercise and work out a little bit because that helped me feel more enough. I also really, worked on healing shame. And a lot of things about shame. And I've done a whole series about this. I'm not going to talk a lot about how to heal shame because I literally just did a whole video series last month and the month before on healing shame. So you can go back and look up on that on my YouTube channel and on my blog. But I did a lot of work on healing my shame. On the freedom portion of it, I did activities and things that made me feel free. And most of that was really about stop suppressing myself, to really start expressing that I was an intuitive, that I was a psychic, to bring all of that out of hiding, to really start to really own that I was same gender loving in public and in the real world, and stop hiding it in secret. I also really started to just do whatever I really wanted to do that was calling me, to live a life that I wanted to live, so that I started to feel free and to do things that really nourished me and charged me and made me feel a sense of joy and energized. And the more I began to do those things, my body began to heal on its own, right? So that was, again, when you're in your home frequency, the closer you come back to home, the more all is well. the more all, because home is, your home frequency is the state of well-being. It is the state of well-being. So the more you become at home, the more things start to become well. So that's step number 2, is to really discover the path you need to take to come back home to your home frequency. And that's how you do that. And so number 3 is that, so we talked about coming back home to your home frequency. The other part of healing is to come back home to your wholeness. So how you do that is you have to leave nothing suppressed, rejected, or repressed about you. Your wholeness is that everything is there. Everything is accepted. Everything is embraced. Everything is expressed. And when you have something that is suppressed, right? So like, for instance, I was suppressing my sexuality. I was suppressing my intuitive gifts. Now, when you suppress an aspect of yourself, you also suppress your immune system at the same time. You cannot heal and be suppressed at the same time, because what's literally happening is, no matter what diet you take, no matter what, medicines you take or whatever, your immune system is going to be suppressed if you have aspects of yourself that you're suppressing. So whether that's part of your personality you're suppressing, maybe you got teased as a kid for being the weird one or for having a quirky personality, and so you don't really express the weird aspects of yourself. You don't really express the quirky aspects of yourself. Maybe you have high intuitive gifts, so you're not really expressing those for fear of what people will think about it, because you don't want to get teased or you don't want to get shamed. Anytime you suppress any aspect, your personality or your sexuality or whatever the aspect is of your being, whatever it is, right? If you're suppressing something about it, then you are literally keeping yourself from healing. You're keeping yourself from being well. Because as you suppress yourself, this is another thing, because this is all your whole being, mind, body, spirit. And so if you're suppressing some aspect of yourself, your spirit or your mind, you're suppressing some aspect of your body. And so the thing, and also suppression disconnects you from your wholeness. Anytime you suppress some aspect of yourself, you reject your wholeness. You come out of your wholeness. And a lot of times, the reason why you're doing this is not your fault, by the way. A lot of times why we suppress ourselves or we disconnect from our wholeness is because in our childhood, we were made to feel like if we literally lived our wholeness, we wouldn't be loved somehow. So somewhere in your childhood, you expressed some aspect of your wholeness, and you either got teased for it, you got shamed for it, you got rejected for it, you may have gotten abandoned for it. And so you began to believe that being my whole self is not safe, because being my whole self makes people withhold love from me, or it makes me vulnerable to danger or pain in some way. And so you say, in order to get love and in order to avoid pain in some way, I need to reject some aspect of myself. I need to suppress it. I need to push it away. And while that may have kept you safe in your childhood, and while that may have gotten you some type of approval in your childhood and some type of belonging in your childhood, if you hold that for too long, that robs your body of the energy it needs to be healthy. And so you'll develop an illness later on. And again, you're not being punished. The illness is not a punishment. It is not a betrayal by your body. It is an indicator. Your body needs your wholeness, and it needs your home energy, your soul's energy, which is love, the frequency of love. It needs these things to be healthy. It literally was made to house these things. It was made to house your signature wholeness and your signature frequency. And anytime you're not embodying those things, you're literally like withholding your body from like what it needs. It's almost like starving it. Like what happens when you starve yourself from food, like you don't get any food in. What happens from your body, it starts to break down and it starts to develop illness. The same thing happens with this. When you starve your body for too long from your wholeness and from your home frequency, it will develop illness because you are literally robbing it of the nutrient that it needs to sustain and create wellness. So you've got to look at where you're suppressing yourself some way. You've got to stop doing that. Where are you rejecting some part of yourself? Where are you telling yourself some part of you is not enough and it doesn't belong to you, right? And you're not really embracing it. You've got to start to embrace and accept all parts of your being, no matter how ugly you may think it is, no matter how unpopular it may be, no matter how you may think that other people may reject you for it or they may withdraw from you from it. You've got to be willing to risk or to lose all of that if it means gaining all of yourself back. You got to gain all of yourself back. So that's the third step to me, is really leave nothing in your life suppressed, rejected, or repressed. Now, repressed is another thing too, because repressed is literally, so we have needs. As spiritual beings having human experience, we have needs, and we have two types of needs. We have biological needs, and these needs are like, we need to eat food, we need to get in water, we need to rest, we need to sleep. We need shelter, right? We need to breathe. We need air. When we don't get these things, that has a detrimental effect on our health and wellness, right? And if you don't, if not just thirsty, but if you're dehydrated, that begins to break your body down. If you're not just a little bit hungry, but you're starving, right? You haven't actually had any food and you're starving for nutrients, your body starts to break down. If you don't breathe, you can't last for too long without getting in oxygen before you start to die. So these things, you have biological needs. You need to get these things in and get them in frequently enough so that your biological body has what it needs to survive. You are not just a biological being though. So you have two parts to your being. You have both the biological aspect and the spiritual or the energetic aspect. The spiritual and the energetic aspect of your being is the biggest part of your being. It's kind of like an iceberg, right? What you see in this body, like what you're looking at right now, what you see right now is me. This is the tip of the iceberg. The largest part of my being is spiritual. It is the energy part of me. It's what's lying beneath the water. That's also the part that you really can't see. That part of your being also has needs. It also has needs. It has needs that it needs to be nourished. It needs to be fed in order for it to be healthy. And the thing about this is, if your energetic needs aren't being met, it affects the health of your body even more than when your biological needs are not being met. And so I've done another video on this before about the 4 soul vitamins. You can go watch this in detail because I'm not going to go in detail about what they are and how they affect us. I've done another video on that. You can go back and watch that. But the things basically like that our energy needs, right? Our soul needs, is it needs a sense of connection and belonging with others. It needs joy. So like, and that's like pleasure and fun and, really fulfilling your passions, right? And so, for instance, one of the things that I was starving myself from when I was first going through my health crisis was sex. Sex is something that is pleasurable. And I had all these different belief systems in my head, but it was immorally wrong to really have sex, especially with another man. That it was not the spiritual thing to do to be sexually active. I thought that, what made me very, very holy was to withhold from sex, but I was also really wanting sex. That was something that was calling forth from within me, and I was starving myself from that, and that was actually affecting my health. Now, not necessarily that I just need to be out there having sex with anybody and everybody, but it was to allow myself to experience the pleasure of sex, to not repress myself like that. So, but anyway, so your body needs joy, your energy body. So you have a biological body and an energy body. Your energy body needs connection and belonging. It needs joy. It needs freedom, and it needs ease. It needs ease. So if you're stressed, if you're in overwhelm, that is literally keeping your energy from what it needs, right? And the two main needs really are it's belonging and love, to feel loved and to feel a sense of belonging, and joy. And that's really a sense of fun, a sense of pleasure, a sense of passion, right? So those are the two main things. So if any of those things are repressed, um, you've got to really look at that. You've got to look at how do you start to meet your needs for that. If you've not been feeling a life like your life has really been saturated with fun, if you've not been feeling, if you've been feeling lonely and you haven't been feeling loved and like there's a sense of connection and belonging in your life or community in your life, if you don't feel at ease, you've been starving yourself. You've been starving your energy body, and that's not benign. That's not benign. If you do that for too long, your body will develop an illness. Again, as an indicator that you're starving, that you're malnourished, and that you need to start nourishing yourself. So that's number 3. Not leave nothing suppressed, rejected, or repressed about you, so that you can come back to your wholeness. You can come back to the whole being that you are and that you're intended to be on the planet. Again, wholeness equals wellness. The fourth thing that I would do is detox and relax. Now, detox, I'm not necessarily talking about, herbal and food detoxes. I'm talking about detoxing your energy. I'm talking about getting all the stress out of your life and your energy field, right? And so what I would do is I would look at, because one thing, stress, again, keeps you, when we're in stress, it disconnects us from our home frequency, because our home frequency does not feel like stress. It feels like ease. It feels like relaxation. So a part to coming back to your home frequency is to detox. You've got to look at like, what are you taking on that's too much, right? What do you need to let go of? A big part of healing is really letting go of a lot of stuff, not trying to add on a lot of stuff, letting go of a lot of stuff. Like, what do you need to let go of? What are you saying yes to that you really want to say no to? What is stressing you out? What are you doing that you really don't enjoy? What are you engaging in that you really don't enjoy? And I'm talking about not just behaviors and experiences, but also relationships. Do you have any relationships that stress you out? Do you have any relationships with people, be it, friends, be it lovers, be it family members, that does not really bring you joy? When you are trying to heal, especially when you have a life-threatening condition, you have no space. You have no space anywhere in your life for things that stress you out, for things that do not bring you joy, for things that overwhelm you. You literally do not have space for that. When you are trying to literally not just survive, but you're trying to thrive, you don't have space for that. So you have to let go of all of that. So you want to really make a list of, what do you need to let go of? What do you really need to let go of? What's not bringing you joy? What is stressing you out or overwhelming you? Something I had to look at in my own journey was I had taken on a lifetime. I was always in overwhelm and I was always in stress. I was always in overwhelm and always in stress. Even though I meditated, I've been meditating now for almost 20 years plus. And I was on this spiritual journey and I was talking about spirituality and all those things. I was stressed and I was in overwhelm. I was constantly saying yes to things. I did not say no often at all. I didn't say no really because I didn't want people to feel like I was a bad person or to get their feelings hurt. I was always putting other people's feelings above my own, other people's well-being above my own. And I was always in overwhelm. And I was in overwhelm because I was always trying to prove something. If I was this successful, or if I had all these things going, then really, because I didn't feel enough, it was my way of people finally, if I was perfect and I would got all this stuff going, then people would finally think I was enough. Then I would finally get, praise and accolades and acceptance. But it was at the expense of my own energy, right? It was something my mother used to always say to me when I was young, that, you can't keep burning the candle at both ends. And that's pretty much what I used to do. What I didn't prioritize was rest. What I didn't prioritize was slowing down. What I really didn't prioritize was taking it easy. Illness helped me do that. That was one of the things that illness helped me do. It helped me slow my life down. It helped me prioritize rest. It helped me not take on so much. I was also always overgiving. I was a chronic overgiver. I would overgive of my time. I would overgive of my resources. I would overgive of my wisdom. I would always get in relationships where I was the giver, right? I was giving of I was the teacher. I was always, just whatever. I was always giving, 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 and not receiving. And that made you imbalanced. And it kept, again, if you're always giving, you're not receiving, you're imbalanced. You're disconnected from your home frequency. And so I had to learn how to stop overgiving, how to say no a lot, and how to receive as much as I gave. How to receive out as much as I gave. And so that was kind of what I needed to do to detox and then slow my life down. Like really learn how to relax, how to not have a full schedule every day, how to not have such an, and thank you so much. Someone says I'm such an amazing at setting boundaries now. I am. It was a learned behavior. It was learned what I had to learn to literally survive and to be healthy. Boundaries keep you healthy. Boundaries are literally the immune system of the spirit. They literally are. And so I had to learn how to set boundaries and how to really relax. So this is what I would really do if I got diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. I would make this one of my main priorities is looking at what can I let go of? What do I need to let go of? What have I been taking on too much? What have I been taking on that's not really me? Right? Where are the things that I'm doing that really don't feel like me? That really don't nourish me? That really don't make me feel like alive in my sense of being myself? A big clue is what are you doing that's out of a sense of obligation and responsibility instead of out of a sense of joy and passion? That is a big thing. Anytime we are doing things out of a sense of obligation and responsibility, it is a telltale sign that that thing is going to be of stress, because that's not how the soul makes choices. The soul doesn't choose to do something because it feels obligated to, or it feels a sense of responsibility. The soul chooses to do something because that thing is going to bring us a sense of joy, and that's something we really, really, really want to do. And so, and when you make choices out of that, that thing then begins to nourish and charge you instead of depletes you and drains you. Obligation and responsibility drain and deplete your energy field every time. So you want to look at what am I doing out of a sense of obligation and responsibility and stop doing those things. That would be like one of my main things that I would do is like everything I'm doing out of obligation and responsibility, everything that's stressing me out, everything that's making me feel overwhelmed, I'd stop it all together. I'd just let it go. And a lot of times people receive miraculous healings just off doing that alone. Stress, there's a lot of things about science that shows that stress, literally, I mean, there's so much studies out there now that science has picked up that healers and sages and mystics have known for eons and century, but science has now come up with many studies and many facts that stress literally kills. It robs the body, that the body can't be in its healing phases and it can't be in its wellness phases and be in stress at the same time. When we're in stress, stress literally operates the systems that suppress our healing abilities. So if you're in chronic stress, you're going to have a chronic illness. If you have chronic stress, you're going to develop a chronic illness of some way because you are continually to suppress your immune system. And the illness, the reason why it's coming up, this is one of the main reasons, is it's coming up to indicate to you that you are disconnected from your home frequency and your wholeness for too long. And one of the ways you're doing it is you're stressing yourself out. So that's detox the stress and make relaxing. Do things that make you feel relaxed. And again, if you don't have a lot of money, things that make you feel relaxed is go for a walk out in the park. Or in nature, if you have woods, or if you have ocean near you, go for a walk by the ocean, meditate more, right? Go to the library and rent a book that you really want to read, right? These are things that kind of de-stress your system and help you relax. The more you're in relaxed, a state of relaxation, the more you allow your body to heal itself. Because relaxation is a state that allows your body's natural healing abilities to take place. Your body knows how to heal from anything. You just have to give it the natural state of being that allows it to do so, which is one of those states is to relax. So number 5 is to really prioritize your inner wisdom over external advice. I call it insight over information. I got that from Anita Moorjani, that term, insight over information. But the process is what I learned all throughout my journey. As a matter of fact, I have a scar on my arm here, if you can see it. This scar. A lot of times when people see this scar on my arm, they ask me, "Oh my God, what is that? How did you get that?" And my response is, I got it from not trusting myself. And what this scar really says to me now, I don't call it a scar, I literally call it a tattoo. And to me, it's a tattoo that says, trust yourself above all else. And this scar really came from, and I'll share with you a little bit of how I got this scar, but I want to first tell you what this step is really about. Your soul knows what's best for you. It knows more than anybody else, no matter how many degrees they have, no matter how much they may know you, no matter how long they've known you, no matter how much they love you. Your soul knows what's best for you above everything else. It knows the right path for you to take to heal yourself. It knows the best things for you to eat to heal yourself. It knows the best relationships for you to engage with, for your joy and your own healing. It knows everything. But when you don't listen to it and you put somebody else's external advice over it, what ends up happening is you don't make the best choices for yourself, and you either prolong your healing or you keep yourself from healing altogether. And a lot of times we'll put authorities figures, because they have a degree or they're in a white coat, we'll put what they have to say above what our own internal voice is saying. And this scar is actually a prime example of this. This is how this came. So if you know my journey, there were 2 near-death experiences I had. There were 2 times that I was diagnosed and I had to heal myself. And the first time I fully recovered and had a miraculous healing. And this happened the first time. So when the first time came, I was put on dialysis, and I was doing all these things, that I was feeling that were right for me to heal. And one of the things my doctor team was trying to get me to do was to have a fistula put in my arm. And this is kind of a dialysis term. A fistula is when they kind of rearrange the veins in your arm so that they can stick needles in your veins and they can clean it better during dialysis, right? And so a lot of people who are on dialysis have a fistula put in their arm somewhere. I didn't want that. I didn't want that for several reasons. One, I didn't want it because the people that I saw that had fistulas at that time, their arms were disfigured. They had disfigurations in their arms, and I didn't want that. Another thing why I didn't want that is I was feeling in my body, like my soul, the gut wisdom, my intuition was telling me I was going to heal very soon. That my healing was very close. It was close. And that I didn't need this. And that was exactly what my gut was telling me. You don't need this. You're going to heal soon. And you really don't want this either. Right? But everybody began to pressure me. Right? My doctors began to tell me this is what I needed, and I wasn't going to be really healthy. So how I was getting dialysis at the time was there was a catheter that was put in my chest, and it went into my heart, and they would pull blood and clean my blood through this catheter. It was kind of this thing that hung down on my chest. And they were telling me, those things get infected a lot, and that's just a horrible thing to have in your chest. You need to get that out. And they were trying to put in a lot of fear around it. Like, if you keep this, you're going to get a big infection and you can die from this infection. And you need to have this, we clean your blood better with this fistula in your arm and all that. But as they were saying this, but everything in my soul was saying, no, this isn't the right thing for me to do. But I caved in because the doctors kept pressuring me. And then my family, because my mother's a doctor, and she was, really being, influenced by what all the other doctors were saying, and she wanted me to survive and all of that. And my family, again, because so much of us have been taught to put other people as authority, especially if they have degrees, especially if they're seen as experts, and doctors are definitely in that category. So they were taught to think that they have the end all say all on all things health and all things pertaining to your body. But the truth is, as a soul, the only thing that's an expert and that has the end all say all on your life and the possibilities for your life is your soul. Your soul knows more than anyone else, especially about you. But I had been caved into the fear. I had been, listening to them so much I started to get afraid. Like, what if I do get sick from this and I exasperate my responsibilities, or what if, I'm doing the wrong thing, and I just got caved into the external pressure. And so I had this surgery, and there were complications that happened with this surgery. They had to cut my arm more than they had ever. Nobody else who had this surgery that I know of has any scars that look like this. Like, my scar goes all the way up to my arm. It goes all the way up even into my armpit. There's not been many people that I've known that had to have that. Even when I came out, the other doctors were like, oh my God, they had to do all of that. And it was just a big, ridiculous surgery that left me with these huge scars. And not only did the surgery happen, but literally 5 days after I had the surgery, my kidneys fully healed themselves, and I got taken off of dialysis. So I didn't even have to use the fistula. So there was no even reason why I needed to have that surgery. Literally 5 days afterwards. And by the way, the fistula has to mature. It takes like 3 months before it can really be used. So 5 days after I had the surgery, my kidneys miraculously healed themselves. And I didn't need to heal. Exactly what my soul was telling me. Had I listened to my soul, exactly what my soul was telling me. You don't need this surgery. You're about to heal yourself. This is not good for you. But I didn't listen to my soul. I listened to outside advice. And this is what happens. So if you've been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, you really have to start to tune in to what your soul is saying about what you need to do to heal yourself, and what your body is saying. Your body is a wise, intelligent thing on its own. And so here are the 2 tips that I really give to people for that. Is 1, to tune into your body every morning when you wake up. Before you get out of bed, really breathe in, take some deep breaths in, thank your body for still being alive, and then ask it what it needs from you today to help it heal itself and to experience wellness. What do you need from me today? What do you need from me? What do you need me to do? What do you need? What is it? Like, don't try to box it in by saying like, what do I need to eat today to heal? Literally just ask, what do you need from me? What would you like me to do today to help you heal and to help you experience wellness? And then listen. Literally just take some deep breaths in. It may not be a voice that you hear. It may be a feeling that comes up. And trust that feeling. Write it down and go do that thing. Whatever it is, go do that thing for that day. Also, to kind of up your intuition, you really need to do more you need to start meditating more. I'd say go walk in nature, because the more you kind of calm your energy down, and especially the more you stop taking all this external advice from everybody. Because this is another thing that happens when you get diagnosed with something. Everybody has advice. So everybody has advice. You need to stop listening to all these other people's advice about how to heal yourself. You need to also stop. Like, another thing that happens when we get diagnosed with a life-threatening illness is a lot of times you'll start to read everything. You'll start to try to figure out how to heal yourself. And you're going to get a lot of opposing information. There'll be somebody who says, Eat broccoli. Then there's going to be somebody who says broccoli is actually poisonous for your system. There's going to be somebody who says eat vegan. There's going to be somebody who says actually eating vegan is not going to be good for you. And if you're constantly trying to reach out for all this external information, you're going to be in a state of chaos. You're never going to be fully empowered. You're always going to be in this swing, because one day it's this, the next week it's going to be doing something else. And you're never going to really fully heal what your soul and what your body is actually asking for. You need to put that wisdom, your inner wisdom, above anything externally. No matter how much of an expert they are, what your inner wisdom says trumps everything. So follow your inner wisdom above all else. That's step 5. Step 6 is to develop a healing support system that really honors you. This is really important. I know, again, because also going back to step 5, insight over information, your soul knows best, and so it also knows your whole situation. So if you don't have a lot of money right now, your soul knows either one, how to get the money you need to if you actually do need to do some external modalities to help yourself that cost a lot of money, it knows exactly what you need to do to get the money so that you can do that, or it knows how to do these things that you need to bring yourself back into wellness that don't cost money. And it will lead you and guide you to those things. It will, but you have to daily tune into it and ask it, what's the best thing for me to do here? What's the best thing for me to do here? And listen when you get the impulse, when you get the guidance, when you get that, listen and follow it. Above all else, above what anybody else says, even if other people disagree with you, even if they try to shame you, you need to follow yourself. And this is where the next step comes into play, where developing a healing support system that honors you is really important. The only people that need to be in your circle when you're trying to heal yourself, especially from a life-threatening system, is people who are going to respect your choices and honor you as you make your choices. Do not have anybody in your circle who is going to constantly question why you're doing what you're doing, who is going to make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing, who is going to constantly be trying to suggest to you these other things to do. Like, for instance, if you feel like, having a surgery is what is the most beneficial thing for you to do, and then you have these people over here who say, no, you don't need to do this surgery. Instead, you need to try to eat these things and do these things. What they're doing is they're going to disempower you. Because if you've gotten guidance that this is the thing to do and you listen to them, you're going to feel disempowered. And constantly having people say you're doing the wrong things, if you feel like you're doing the wrong thing, that literal feeling that I'm doing the wrong thing will poison you. And vice versa. If you feel like actually, having a surgery is not the best thing for me, or following this medical protocol is not the best thing for me, I feel like this alternative therapy is the best thing for me, or I feel like this diet or nutritional plan is the best thing for me to follow. I'm literally getting guidance around that, and everybody else is saying, no, instead you need to be doing these surgical procedures, or you need to follow what this doctor's saying over here. Again, that's not supportive. When you are healing, you need to feel supported, and you need to feel empowered. That energy, actually the supportive and empowered energy, reconnects you to your home frequency. Your home frequency feels like an empowering and feeling supported. And when you don't feel supported and you don't feel empowered, you are literally disconnecting yourself from your home frequency even further. So it's really important that your healing circle is really helping support you. And that you have people around you that are going to help affirm your choices, that are going to respect your choices, and who are going to support you in what you need to do. And not who are going to drain you, or who are going to always be fighting you or making you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. That's really, really, really important. And also, when you're looking at a healing support system that honors you, there's a lot of free stuff out there now. There's YouTube videos, when we're talking about, reconnecting to your home frequency or healing what caused you to disconnect in the first place, which was usually it's going to be some type of trauma. So there's a lot of stuff around, like, how do you heal trauma that you can find on YouTube, like EFT and somatic experiencing and all that type of exercises you can do. That's free, right? So there's a lot of free things that you can do that you can add into your healing support system, right? That don't cost money. And, that was for me in my journey. There wasn't a lot of, when I first started, YouTube wasn't out yet. When I first started my healing journey, YouTube wasn't out. There wasn't a lot of people that were out in the public that had really healed themselves from, terminal illnesses like mine. So I had to do a lot of really tuning into my soul, really going in and asking, what do I need to do? Right? What do I need to do here? And trusting my soul. My soul would say some things that sound ridiculous at times. But because I trusted it, that ridiculous thing turned out to be the exact thing that helped me heal. So, again, insight, and then develop a support system that really supports you and helps you feel empowered. The seventh step is really one of the most important ones. And it's really what I call prioritize your soulicious. Now, what soulicious is to me is it's what really tastes good to you and tastes delicious and feels delicious to your soul. And this is about joy. This is literally about joy. So remember I said that, there's two parts to what illness comes. Illness is an indicator of where you've been disconnected from your whole home frequency and your wholeness. By the way, joy is a big aspect of your home frequency. Joy is like the biggest part of it. Your home frequency feels like joy. And so when you've gotten, one of the reasons why illness shows up is you've just been disconnected from joy for too long. You've not been living a life of joy. And joy is also why your soul came here. It's literally the purpose for our lives. We incarnated into this dimension to experience a life of joy, our unique joy. And one of the things also why illness comes up is illness comes up to help you. This is the second thing. It comes up to help you refocus your life and reprioritize your life back to joy. And so illness is both an indicator and it's a road. It's the road you take to come back home to a life of joy. So a really big question to ask yourself when you've been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness is like, how would I live my life if I was truly well? If I woke up and my body was really healed, what would I do differently? How would I live my life differently? For me, that was looking at, that instead of, always putting other people before myself and not really looking at what really brought me joy, but really doing things more out of obligation and responsibility instead of what I really wanted to do, what nourished me, what my passions were. I was so disconnected from my passions. I wasn't, working in my passions. I wasn't doing my passions. There were things that I really loved to do, like have really soulful, deep conversations with people I love. I love, really, going out to eat. I love traveling. I love to write. I love to teach. Like this right here breathes life through me, right? So these are things that I really love to do. And I wasn't doing any of that before I had gotten sick. I was working a job that I really didn't enjoy to make money. I was doing it to make money. I wasn't, chasing after the things that really made me feel, fulfilled. I wasn't chasing after my dreams. I wasn't in a life of joy. And so when I looked at, how would I live my life if I was fully well? One of the things that I saw was I would teach more of what I know. I would teach more of what I know about loving ourselves and the healing and transformative power it has. I would teach more of the real soul wisdom, what the soul really is and how this life of ours really works. I would share that. I would be teaching that more. I would be traveling more. I would be seeing my friends because I wasn't seeing my friends a lot. I would be seeing because they lived in other places. I would be seeing my friends more. I would be having sex more. I would be really doing the things that really nourish me and putting these things on the forefront and not just every blue moon. I would be living a life like that. I would be writing. That was another thing that I hadn't been doing. And writing brings me so much joy. And so, in order to heal, you got to bring more joy back in your body. And that means you've got to begin to live a life of joy. The life of not being connected to my joy, not teaching because I was suppressing and not really sharing my intuitive gifts with the world, not traveling, not really going to see my friends a lot, not having sex. That was the life that made me sick. And I don't want to be sick anymore. So what's the life that makes me well? And the life that makes me well is a life of joy. What is your joy? What is your joy? What would you be doing if you got a second chance at wellness? What would you be doing with your life? And the key is to live it now. Not wait and keep procrastinating it, because procrastinating it and putting it off made you sick. Live it now. Live it now. So you've got to prioritize. You've got to live a lifestyle. You've got to change your lifestyle and make your priorities joy. Every day. When you wake up in the morning, after you ask your body what you can do today to help it, and by the way, it probably is going to tell you something about joy, by the way. But after you ask yourself, you ask your soul, what can I do today? What is it that I can do today to really satisfy my need for joy? What can I do today? It may say, scrap your to-do list clean and go to the movies. It may say, do that writing that you always wanted to do. It may say, sing that song you always wanted to sing. It may say, that was another thing I was disconnected from, by the way. I'm a singer. I always wanted to sing. And I used to sing before that, and I wasn't singing enough. And a part of my healing journey was to start singing. I started putting on concerts. I started singing all over the place, right? And this is, again, began to help me feel a sense of joy. So look at, what can I do? What is the things that I can do now to help me feel a sense of joy? What have I always wanted to do that I've not been doing? And go do that right now. If you've wanted to travel the world and you haven't been anywhere in the last few years, right? Whatever you need to sell, if you don't have money, sell something. Sell something in your home. Sell your car. Whatever you need to do, and go travel. Go see the world. Go do your life, because you've been malnourishing yourself. When you've not been living a life of joy, you are malnourishing yourself. And no one who is malnourished can be healthy. But anyone who is properly nourished can heal. So what do you need to do to fulfill your need for joy? Right? How would you live? What would you be doing? How would you be behaving differently? What type of things would you be doing? If you've always wanted to write a book, write that book now. If you've always wanted to sing somewhere, find out how you can go sing. If you've always wanted to open a bakery, start the process in opening that bakery, even if it just means making, baked goods in your house and selling them to your friends before you get your own place. Find a way to fulfill your joy, to fulfill your passions, to have more fun. This is why you're here as a soul. You're not here to just grind away at a life that doesn't nourish you and doesn't feed you and doesn't make you feel make you feel alive. You are here to live a life of joy. That is the main purpose for your life. And the more joy you get in your body, the more you're going to bring your home frequency into your body, and the more you're going to give your body the very frequency it needs to be healthy. So prioritize your solicious. What tastes delicious to you? Again, for me, that was teaching, that was writing, that was traveling, that was going to see my friends, that was, having more sex, that was really these type of things, that was singing more. That was the things that really breathed life through me. And so I had to stop everything else and prioritize this. And today I live that type of life. And that's why I have joy in my body, and that's why my body, is healing so miraculously, and I have more wellness than I had before. So that's step number 7. I want to go through these last 2 steps really quickly. Step number 8 is another really important step. It's really simple. It doesn't cost any money, and it has very miraculous results. And that is to visualize the well version of yourself every day. So, what does the well version of yourself look like? No matter what this health condition is that you're experiencing, if you were fully healthy, like literally take 5 minutes in the, I like to do it in the morning. Take 5 minutes in the morning, sit in a very comfortable space where you won't be disturbed, that's very quiet, and just visualize, just imagine what would it be like? Like imagine yourself fully healed and look at like what are you doing? What type of life are you living? How do you feel? Right? And so for me, a lot the healthy version felt really free and he felt really happy and he felt at ease and he felt it good about himself. He felt really excited about life because he got to travel the world and he was writing books and speaking and teaching, and he just felt so alive. And so really 5 minutes, that's all it takes every day. Sit down and imagine, what does the well version of yourself look like, and what does the well version of yourself feel like? And what will happen for you, what you'll notice is the more you start to really get centered in how that feels, that will guide your life choices. The well version of you starts to become your guide. It starts to become your guide and your teacher for how to heal yourself. It says, oh, the well version of me eats like this. Oh, the well version of me does these type of things instead of these type of things. Oh, the well version of me doesn't do this anymore. He doesn't actually have these type of relationships anymore, or he doesn't do these type of behaviors anymore. He does these. And so I'm going to do this instead. And you need to, once you start to get the clear picture on who the well version of you is and what the well version of you feels like and how that well version of you is living life, that's the life you need to start embodying. That's how the actions, you need to act like the well version of you now. Right now. And this many reasons why this is very powerful. One, because the more you embody the well version of you, the more you start to feel that in your body, the more you bring the frequency of wellness into your body. And the frequency, once you match and hold that vibration, your body has to catch up. If the vibration that you're holding in your body is wellness, then the experience of wellness has to be had by your body. Your body has to match the vibration you're holding in your body, right? So if you're holding the well version of yourself in your body has to catch up to the well version of you, right? If you're starting to take the behaviors in your life, and you're starting to show up as the well version of yourself, even before the test results, affirm that you're well, even if, you don't feel it, you may have some pains in your body or aches or whatever the illness is causing in your body. If you just start to show up as the well version, if you act as if, and you feel as if, more than act as if, you feel as if you feel as if and act as if the well version of you now, before you know it, your body's going to catch up and it's going to reflect you being the well version of yourself. That's number 8. And again, that doesn't take money at all. It may take some money once you get into the action phase, depending on what those actions are. But again, if you trust your soul will guide you to the money you need to do this. Your soul wants to support you in your wellness. It does not want to keep you from wellness. Well-being and wellness is what your soul wants from you more than anything else. So once you start to take, you actually start to take action on your wellness and your well-being, and you let your soul know that this is important to you, it's going to support you with that. So the last step here is the last step. And I say this step for last because I didn't want you to focus on this, because a lot of times healing is so focused on this. And this is why a lot of people's healing either takes a very long time or it doesn't happen at all, because this is what healing really isn't really about this. So this is why I don't like to talk about this a lot. But because this is something that I did from my own journey, I'm going to share it with you. And that is the last step, is to lighten up my diet. So again, if you're in your home frequency and you're in your wholeness, it almost really doesn't matter what you eat, to be honest. Your wholeness is what equals wellness, and your home frequency is what your body needs, more than just, eating a raw diet, or eating, an all alkaline vegan diet, or whatever, or eating a paleo diet or anything like that. The diet is really maybe 1% of your healing journey. And what you usually hear out there and what people are teaching you is this 99%, and it's not. It is not, because the diet is external. Your healing is about an internal journey. The diet is external. Nothing outside of you has power over you. All your power is coming from what's happening internally. So this is why I say this for last, so that you didn't focus so much on about it. But my rule of thumb really, that I found for myself, was just to lighten my diet up, to eat lighter. That meant eating less and eating lighter foods. So I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. I didn't eat only fruits and vegetables, but I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. I didn't eat till, I was overgorged. I just gave my body a sense of, again, following relaxation. To eat light allowed my body to relax, so it wasn't spending a lot of its energy on digestion, and that I didn't eat foods that made me feel heavy, right? So for me, that was red meats and chicken and things like that. That made me feel heavy. If I did, my body was calling for some type of animal protein, and for me, that came in the form of fish. That was the intuitive guidance I got. So I would eat fish, but primarily my diet was plant-based. I was eating a lot of fresh, raw fruits, and salads, and a lot of greens, like collard greens and things like that. And then every once in a while, I would eat fish, and I ate a lot of nuts. And so that made me have a sense of lightness in my body, and to feel light, so that I didn't feel like my body was overtaxed while it was trying to catch up to my wellness vibration and also heal what needed to be healed in my body. So that was really my 9 steps for what to do if I was diagnosed again with a life-threatening illness and I didn't have a lot of money. These things, and also, by the way, the more you lighten your diet up, the less money you're spending on food. So, those were the things that I would do to heal myself and bring myself back into well-being and wellness, and also bring myself back to wholeness and my home frequency, which is what healing is really all about. Once you do these steps, you can do them all at once. You can do them one at a time. This isn't about, trying to overwhelm yourself. Remember, you're trying to be in your home frequency, and overwhelm is not being in your home frequency. So you don't have to try and do all of these things all at once. You want to do them at a pace that's comfortable for you, but just to make sure that, you're following these things, and you should be able to experience a dramatic and maybe even miraculous outcome in your healing and the well-being and wellness that you're experiencing. I hope this has helped you all. Thank you for listening to me. It's good to see you again. And until next time, love yourself and be well. Much love.